To open the meeting
Do you
at 7:30.
have because I wasn't here for the
Local
minutes.
conservation for November 5th. And I'd like to
Have edits. I
have a
haven't
motion
minutes 'cause I
or
wasn't here
have
for the
people
I wasn't here either.
discuss
but
the minutes
There was I did miss
Good
one.
evening.
for October
Hey,
15th.
Carol.
Anybody got any omissions or corrections for the minutes for October 15th?
Nope.
I noticed the part in the minutes where we discuss the phase 2 and phase 4 for Durkee Farm. Phase 2 is mentioned twice. I'm assuming the second one's supposed to mention phase 4.
Oh,
That's all I noticed. But I also wasn't here, so there's that.
So we're gonna do executive session first.
What's
We're
that?
gonna do executive session first.
I saw that you had me making a motion to close and seconding the motion to close the meeting.
Oh.
So,
okay.
I don't remember which I did, but I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure I
yeah.
didn't do both.
Somebody will make a
What's
motion.
that?
Is it okay we wait outside?
Yeah, that's outside.
You're gonna have to, because we're gonna
Yeah,
close
that's fine, yeah.
for a few minutes.
The nature of it.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Should I close the door?
Please.
Thanks, Rick.
Bye.
Somebody wanna?
Wait, did that ever get turned on?
Yeah, it's on right
Yeah.
there.
Oh, okay.
It's just that one's not.
So let,
That has to be shut off.
well, not yet.
You have to say that we're going into.
So the 73 Hartwell, executive session for the 73 Hartwell Avenue. The commission had determined to convene an executive session for the purpose of discussing strategy with respect to the litigation concerning 73 Hartwell, because doing so in open session may have a detrimental effect on the commission's litigating position. Does somebody want to, like, basically so move?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No, I need to do a
Do
roll
we have
call.
to
Hang
turn
on a
this
second.
off?
Wait a minute, she's
Oh.
gotta do a roll call.
Carl,
Aye.
Andrew,
Do we just have to include in that motion that we'll be reconvening afterwards? Because I know a lot of
Yes.
times.
yes, thank you.
Okay.
And 10 Fort Pond, or is that a separate?
Separate.
There's nothing to say about 10 Fort Pond.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Rachel,
Aye. Yes.
Julie,
Hi.
and Sarah,
Aye.
and Jim.
Aye.
Okay, now we can turn that on. Thank you.
So are all these people here for all those?
I have no clue.
I mean,
So I'm hoping you can tackle the first two.
that's why we're curious, who is here of that kind of list?
Um,
Oh,
The bathhouse here, and then the informal,
Holly Donahue, I think should be, I think it was Holly. Holly?
No, boy.
No, oh, you're right.
67
So,
Millward.
the person here on Long Lake.
So you want to postpone that, or?
So yeah, let's let it flip, but I think the 628 Newtown people are here.
oh, I thought you were, yeah.
Okay, informal discussion, 628 Newtown Road.
I'm looking at this.
Yeah,
Somebody here to speak to
Yes.
Newtown Road? 628?
Yes.
You want to come up and sit down?
Hi there, come on up.
Right up front.
Here, you can come up here. That's
Over
fine.
here.
Yeah.
All the
Get
way
your
up.
own microphone.
Microphone.
All right, so welcome and tell us what you're here for.
So we have a paved gravel driveway in front of our house, and we're gonna have a snowplow clear out the snow during the winter time. So we're thinking of putting in a driveway so the gravel doesn't disappear in 3 years or so. So we looked up some options. We spoke with Amy, and she told us that the concerns about water running off and going into the brook in front of our house. Now, that's one of the reasons we bought the house in the first place, was we loved it. And we have a backyard, it's beautiful. So we looked up some solutions online. So there are a couple of, one thing that appealed to me was using what is called pervious concrete,
Yep.
which means that because it's a gravel bed, I can either put like a layer of soil on top of that and put the concrete on top, so instead of running off into the brook, it seeps directly into the soil over there. And even if anything were to escape, it would be like filtered out naturally, I suppose. So that's really what we want to talk to you about. Is because the snowplow is going to come, it's going to pick up the gravel every, in a few years I won't have anything left at that rate, right? So if you have any ideas to help.
I know
Because
some
this
people-
is the site, they have the bridge to go across, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people express concern with that because in the winter you have the frost, and so it comes up, it goes down, it comes up, it goes down, based on the climate and the weather. So that's certainly an option. I would encourage you to research to make sure it's the best, where it's such a kind of wet and moist site.
Yeah.
It's not like it's always hot or dry
Yeah.
or
No, so
level.
there are instructions, like the EPA actually has a whole set of instructions on that. So we are in touch with a builder who's trying to help us with this also. So it does say that we'll have to, there's something called vacuum blasting.
Right.
Which is basically you just make sure that those particles don't add up to stop the water from seeping through. So that's something that needs to be done after every snow shower. So we are looking at that. So this is what.
Would you have a portion that's paved with asphalt as well?
No.
No.
That would be the cheapest option, really. So this is gonna be on the higher side for us, but.
Okay.
We love to see otters and what is that? We saw a beaver the other day, and
On the water.
we have wildlife walking around. We absolutely love it. That's why we went and said, like, this is just
Well,
what we
I'm
like.
glad you care about that kind of thing, because
Yeah.
that piece of property, that's what it.
Yeah. So
Needs.
we are all like, I'm in the Sierra Club, and I'm in the World Wildlife Fund, and so we do that, right? So
Yeah. So, I mean, there's probably other solutions too. That's one solution.
right.
There's also like blocks you can buy that have like a center hole cut out in them,
Yeah,
That could
yeah,
be-
yeah.
or it could drain straight down through.
Sure,
I
yeah.
understand your issue,
Yeah.
and that was a tough site for us.
Yeah. So we
To-
were
to
told.
permit.
So we were told, and I
And-
told them.
Totally understand it.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I
just loved it just because
But I
of
do
that.
understand.
No, this was the third house we saw, actually, and we weren't even looking in this area. I saw this on Redfin,
Yeah.
And we came here from
Westford.
Westford,
Yeah.
and we looked at this place. We looked at each other, and we were like, "This is it, right?"
Well, you have a small car.
I understand your issue with the gravel. We certainly don't want a bunch of stones going into the.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the
I never
other
actually
worry.
thought. I thought about that, but that's a good point. So we should try and.
Yeah. So we'd.
Do you want to outline where you want that driveway
Yeah.
Sure,
to go?
sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
so
we
even
can do
just
that.
put little stakes or just spray paint where you want it to go, so you have a
in the
limit
house,
of
yeah.
Yeah.
how wide, how
No.
what you
Sure.
want, like an apron that goes in or not.
Yeah. If we really.
We can do
we
that.
can
yeah.
do that, and what we want to do is we want to have like plants on the side of the driveway, right? So
Just
we're
think
definitely.
of, think of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been here through some of our snowstorms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have thought that out.
I think one of the other themes that I recall when we were permitting the site was, and the concern for pervious concrete or asphalt was being able to maintain it.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds like you've done
It does
your
take,
homework.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
You're interested in actually, so, because if you don't maintain it, it's just
Yeah.
asphalt.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
it
I
turns
think-
into that,
Or
yes.
concrete.
I think, yeah,
Concrete,
or
yeah.
concrete.
Yeah.
So I would say, pay some attention to that when you, bring it in.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would also make sure there's a vendor around
Plan.
here who does that.
Yes,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you spoke with Brian the other day, right? When you visited?
When I was there, yeah.
Yeah, so Brian is the person who is getting us in touch with people who can do this.
Okay.
So we know
Yeah.
him through good sources, so.
I would, whatever you do, it's gotta withstand a pretty good sized truck. When we were there, the gas truck was backing in.
Right.
And it's a big truck,
Yeah.
so it's gotta
Yeah.
be something that can stand the weight.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right,
That
yeah.
it's not
That's
gonna,
right.
that the truck is not gonna put ruts in your new
Yeah.
Oh,
driveway.
yeah,
Yeah.
So to
certainly.
talk about that. One
Yeah.
thing is that when you're putting this in, you'll have to ask the installer, because you can't stockpile any material within 100 feet of that wetlands.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
don't know if there's any room behind the house, but I still think.
We have
We
plenty
have
of
that-
room behind the house.
Plenty of room behind the house.
You can't get to it though. You can't stockpile.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
You can't get
Can't get
equipment back
around it.
there.
Okay.
So it's
Oh.
gotta
And
come
it's-
right
and
off
then
the
it's
truck
septic.
into.
Right, so basically you work, the material comes from the truck to the ground and is applied, then
away.
it's not dumped, they
Okay.
drive
Drive
away.
away.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So there's some
Should be
things,
taking notes, I suppose,
Well,
but you do have
but-
minutes?
yeah,
Right,
we
okay,
do.
great.
yeah. Or you can watch it on
You can watch.
TV.
I
Yeah.
mean, the good old days, it's all goes in here, now I'm beginning to lose some of it, so.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
because your time frame, I'm assuming you wanna get this done before winter, or you
No,
gonna
no,
wait?
next year.
We
Next year,
tried,
okay.
but I think this is, we are too late now.
Okay.
So
already raining
probably
and
spring,
also-
summer.
And it's good to live with your property for a year to see,
Exactly what it is,
Are you
right?
And
gonna do it?
I'm assuming this would be a new notice of intent
Yeah.
and a waiver.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's going to have to be.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
So it would have to be
Yep,
improved
so
site
so it's an
conditions.
improvement.
Yeah.
Right.
But you need to do
You'd have to
your
be pretty
research,
strong.
and if you've
Yeah.
got more than one option, come back and tell us again.
Yes,
Sure.
yes, definitely. So that seemed the best, and I also looked at the grid, which is like you sink like a rubber mesh onto it, which basically holds everything in place. It's basically the same thing, except it increases the stability of the gravel from
Yeah.
being like
Washed
scraped
away,
out or
yeah.
washed out or what have you, right? So that's another option we looked at. So these two are the most promising solutions, but I'll keep looking. So
Well, you
Yeah.
gotta check with the gas company or the oil company, whoever's gonna be bringing the truck in there,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
find out what their requirements are.
Okay.
right, okay.
Get
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
how heavy their trucks are.
Delivery truck.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
then talk to, but then when you do know the area that you're interested in, please just contact Amy, and then we're happy to come out and walk and look at that.
Great. That'd be really good.
But you will ultimately need to provide all the information about how deep they need to dig to put in
Yeah.
the foundation, the gravel, whatever it needs
the engineering specifications.
Yeah.
Sure,
You'll-
yeah,
You'll
sure.
need some.
We will get all the
Sure.
information to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever we get,
Good
we'll
luck.
to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
when they're installing this, they're gonna have to be like, just like Sarah said, to be like super careful.
Yeah.
Because you are in the very
You'll
narrow.
want to do
Yeah.
it during a dry season, not really spring.
Yeah.
No, this is definitely safe for next
Okay.
year when we're gonna do this.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
All right. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you
in.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Good night.
Coming in.
Thank you.
Amy had an order to go that you wanted.
No, we can just go
Yeah,
into
it goes on
67 now, I
Yeah.
think.
You're the kind of people that
Cooper Farm
probably needs.
certificate.
Absolutely.
Oh, they
Nobody's here for that,
they
so-
never filed, so I
Okay.
thought they were going to.
Well, seeing as we're running a little bit late, why don't we go forward with the public hearing notice of intent, 67 Mill Road, U3828, Mass DEP file number 204-8XX, demolition of an inhabited house and construction of a new house and septic system.
Good evening. For the record, Ted Doucette here. I'm with the applicants Lori Riley and Jim McLaughlin. I have the certified mail receipts.
Thank you.
And I think most of you are familiar with this project. We've been in for a couple of informal hearings. But for the record, we can kind of go over through it quickly and talk about what
Do you have the green cards, is what I need.
No, they're not all back yet.
Okay.
And those, yeah,
It's the green cards we need, so why don't they
It's-
take what you've got?
it's actually only those, because you only have to notify, you don't have to get receipts.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
need,
You can have them.
yeah.
Yeah. But you don't want these at all?
The green cards are how you know that
Yes.
you notified.
Here's all them, these are what I notified. These are saying
Yeah,
that
that's
that they were
just-
mailed to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it. I have
But this is the only way we
yeah,
know
But,
who actually got it.
right,
Right, but you don't have to know, the regulations say you don't have to know who got them, you just have to notify them. But I'll get them to you, it's not a problem.
100% of the time, this is what I see.
yeah, me too. And
Yeah.
we
Other
had
towns.
a recent abutter who didn't receive anything because it was addressed to a prior, so,
Yeah.
Get the envelope back.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
just back, who is the actual owner of the property?
Sorry, Jane Simmons just showed up,
Okay.
yeah, so,
And you're the applicant?
Jim and Lori, yeah.
They're the applicants.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, here's a lot that a lot of us have become familiar with. This is Mill Road here. This is right as you come down from King Street, and you cross over the bridge, and then there's the pond here, and then this land juts out into this. We have an existing home here, which is falling into disrepair and is not inhabitable. It's about 26 feet from the front lot line as it exists right now at the closest point. It is a block foundation that is not suitable for constructing on top of it again or reusing. The 50-foot buffer zone is shown on my plan. It comes up into here.
So do you have the plan that has the buffer?
Yes, I
zone?
will, yeah.
Okay.
So we have the top of bank, which marks the resource area here. We have a FEMA flood line here. Oh, you know what, I forgot to call the plan. I knew I had something I had to do. But. Oh, yeah, here's the stormwater plan. So,
Let's go back to the original.
Sure.
plan. Amy, do you have any markers here? Just so we can see. So walk us through where the new house, and tell us about the septic and things like that. So if we go back to this original,
okay.
just so I can visualize.
Okay, so the septic is a single pit out here with no septic tank. It's just it's a pit with no pretreatment. Just goes
So
right to the ground.
Cesspool.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the age of the structure or the system?
1953.
Just-
So if you want to just put the, because you can see where the 50 is, just highlight the 50 and
yeah.
maybe I'll get a color. So and then the new proposed house
Yeah.
is in the 50 or within the?
Yes, so the 50 is going to come through here. Sorry, I don't know why. It's not, it's going to come through here. Here it is, right here. There's a 50 foot right here. That's the 50.
How big is the lot?
The lot is 26,000 square feet, but there's only about 12,000 that is actually upland. Of that, there's only 3,000 that's within the, outside the 50, but all of that is outside of, or is inside of the 30-foot no setback. 30-foot front yard setback. So we were talking last time, trying to talk about options and trying to move the house more forward. We went to ZBA. The setback, as most of you probably know, is 30 feet, the required front yard setback, and they reduced it to 15 feet, so they gave us 50% reduction. So the house is now set, the foundation is set 17 feet from the front lot line, because we're gonna have a 1-foot roof overhang, and we want a foot of factor safety just for putting the foundation in. Proposing to put in a dry well here to capture all of the roof runoff and put it infiltrate it into the ground. We have our erosion controls here around the back and coming up by the septic system. The proposed septic system will meet Title V. We have it with a 2-compartment tank and 1 leach trench here. We are proposing a deck off the back, which will be cantilevered, so there'll be no sonotube footings.
So how close is the deck to the wetlands? When were these flags verified?
No flags, just top of bank. It's easily identifiable. Just top of bank.
So for this plan, you've already shot the topo though, and it's already been surveyed.
Yes, that's the survey right there.
Okay.
Yeah. The foundation will be no closer than 17 feet to the front lot line.
Can I see, is
Yeah.
this plan,
Yes.
Can I see that?
So that was that was a proposed option we came in with back.
So
a
this
couple
is,
months
this
ago.
is not what's proposed presently?
No, I was looking at that for reference for 50 before,
Oh.
50 foot before I saw it.
Okay, so this is old.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So,
So we're between a rock and a hard place here because once you move outside the 50, you're within the 30-foot front yard setback. We feel that the owners are giving because they're only putting in, it's 1,300 foot of impervious area, but it's only about 800 square feet of living area. We feel that zoning board did their part. They gave us, 50% reduction in the offset to the front yard. And we're just looking for some give so that we can have a habitable, livable house, something that's of sufficient size for 2 people just to live and enjoy living on the lake. Some of the things that we're proposing is we're gonna have a gravel driveway, and we're proposing a 6-foot no-mow zone here, and that'll be planted with a variety
but
of.
that's right on the bank of the wetlands?
Yes.
So you're not mowing the wetlands buffer zone?
There's no wetlands.
So
There is a bank, which is the resource area, and one of the things at the previous hearings that the commission members were talking about at that point was that they thought a no-mow zone would be a good idea.
Okay.
The other issue is that there are some large trees that would be a threat to a new home here, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 large trees that are being proposed to be removed.
What is the existing on that?
It's
drawing?
not shown, there's just too many lines. Here's the existing here.
Is it in the approximate same location?
No, it's moved further forward to the street. And I have a summary here of the areas within the 50-foot no disturb zone. As far as existing, the impervious area within the 50-foot no disturb is 830 square feet. That's being reduced to 766 within the 50-foot no disturb zone. The existing impervious area is 876 based on the existing foundation. The proposed is 1,300 total square feet. Now, the amount of area, impervious area infiltrated with stormwater is 0 on the existing conditions, and it's 1,300. We're going to infiltrate all of the stormwater.
How
Ted,
many?
I'm sorry, the 876 and 1,300 is the site total
Is
or the buffer zone?
the total 876 and 1,300 is the total impervious area between existing and proposed.
Thank you.
Have you guys been out on site?
I have not seen it. But
There are pictures in the.
How many
in the
trees
file.
are you losing for septic? Is that 7 trees?
No, there's
Does
none-
that count for the septic?
None due to the septic, it's just that are,
Okay.
you know, threat
So
to
you
the
can
house,
thread the
yeah.
needle with the, it seems like there's a ton of white pines, like basically all of these guys are white pines.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
but we're gonna be so far forward on
Yeah.
the
Okay.
septic, yeah.
So here's, see, it's algae in, but that's Mill Pond there, like across, you go by St. Anne's.
Yeah.
So the house is gonna come in this direction, and those are the trees that'll come out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Fall
like
on the
huge
house.
white pines,
Right.
basically.
But not that one. On the, that overshadows the pond.
No, that one is proposed, the one right on the pond
Yeah.
there. If that's
Be
the one you
careful of
choose, that one you
temperatures
point
on
to.
that.
Yeah, no, that was one of my main concerns.
Yeah,
with
you'd have to
tree
be
taking is
careful
the
of
shading of the water,
The shading of the water.
because it's already, and obviously the algae is already a problem.
Yeah,
Lack of shade makes it worse.
Shading makes it worse.
Lack of shade makes it worse. Sun makes it worse because the sun heats up the water, and so then you get more rapid degradation, and then the oxygen, you get lower oxygen conditions, and then stuff dies.
yeah, I
and
don't even know
it's
how
just-
much. I
So
don't know
shade's
how-
good.
Yeah, I don't know how many
It's a
branches
big
are even on
tree
that, yeah.
To be close, but even
Yeah.
if we just got a couple of branches
Very
off.
How many
of the
trees are
house.
you leaving?
Sorry?
Is that the
Yeah.
dad's?
Major
there's a
trees,
bunch of-
I mean, there's
Yeah,
one,
there's
two,
a
three,
ton.
4, 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
8.
Say you're leaving.
I'm concerned
Nine,
about
yeah.
voting on anything without 100% of those.
How many, how
I'm
many
still-
trees are you removing?
7 is proposed.
7?
Oh, I don't think that.
But you're leaving 9, you said?
Yeah, the large pines.
Oh, those are terrible. I mean, you don't want those falling on the house.
So,
They're really stable, though.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
They're very stable trees if you have one next to your house.
Oh, that's incredibly
That's the,
stable.
that's the one you want,
And you
but,
can't grow grass, so you don't have to worry.
right,
about
it's
growing.
acidic. You get
So-
the pine needles. But
And
there are a lot of them and
The
they're
other
huge.
6 are dead,
Are they?
so we picked the dead trees.
Okay.
So we have a request, you know, for waiver to work within the no,
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
So you have your waiver done?
the
Waiver
waiver
request.
request, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was submitted, so, you know, it summarizes everything that's
Yeah, those
pretty
links
much
were
everything.
broken, actually. I was trying to access them again and they were broken today.
Oh.
Yeah, if you could mark
saw
where the
all the
house,
items
if
you
you could mark
submitted,
in the
so I know
field
they were in
Yeah.
where the house is going,
Yep.
where any improvements are gonna be going, so we can just see where they sit out there.
Okay, so we don't have a
And
number
which trees
anyway.
are staying going? Yeah.
Yeah,
So we don't have a number,
So
right? We're
flag
continuing
the
anyway.
ones that are going.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you only flag the ones that are going, and then just put
In the
in
driveway.
stakes like where, just 4 corners of the house approximate,
Mhm.
driveway, center line, and then,
I'd say driveway
Just-
closest. We want that.
I'd probably give the square of the driveway.
Okay.
You know, it's not like a center line curving up there, so, yeah.
okay.
So.
And then septic is on the road side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stake, all right.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Yep. The pictures are helpful too.
Yeah. So I think that right now, you know, we want to hear what you think, if there's anything else that you want to see on the plan. I mean, we've tried to pick up what we heard from the preliminary hearings, as far as the NOMO and the, what are the plants? What are the plants here? The,
So they had mentioned
Oh,
something about
pollinators.
pollinators.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Bat houses, and I did just go online
Native.
and look up some, homeowner's guide to wetlands and buffers, just for reference to
Yep.
find things, you know, and they
There's
mentioned
a lot
about
of resources
no cotton
available.
mowing, you know,
Yep.
water, being able to, you know, let water to saturate out towards the wetlands.
Yep.
Um,
How soon do you think you can have the stakes in?
By the end of the week.
Okay.
I think I'll probably do them on Wednesday. Wednesdays? Is there school Wednesday? Half day is Wednesday, right? Yeah.
No school tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll probably have them Wednesday or Thursday. I'll let Amy know. When do you need them? Or you just want to know when
Well,
they're ready?
With the owner's permission, when the stakes are there, the commissioners, with your suggestion, and Amy's would go back out, look at that, and then would hope to have a discussion at the next meeting, which would be the 19th of November.
Okay.
And then that would be,
Yeah, just keep it moving.
Okay,
hopefully.
did you have a site walk scheduled? I guess that's what I'm concerned
Well, we
about.
can't schedule it until you tell us that the
Okay,
stakes are in.
no, I didn't know if you say, oh, we go out every Thursday, or we go out every,
No.
you know, okay.
No, it's,
All right. All right.
is anyone living in here now?
It's
So
not-
it's okay if we randomly go?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So I'm sorry,
color plan.
were you saying a no-mow zone or a planting zone? What was that?
Yes, no mow would be planted with the
Pollinators.
pollinators, if that's,
Do you have
Good
something
question.
that you want to submit to
Well,
Amy?
These
Or
are
are those
just,
just suggestions?
just suggestions, the things I
Okay.
read, the bats, what, you know,
So
what
if
what
you
they
want,
are.
so maybe bring to the next meeting, really kind of like your wish list, so we know which ones you're gonna wanna do.
We don't really have a wish list.
Yeah,
Well, we'll
this was
specify.
just on-
Whatever we
Okay.
can do.
Okay,
You know,
Yeah.
we've
I
been
assume
back
you
and
want
forth
specifics
so
on
many times.
how many, what kind of,
that's what he has
how
to
many
do.
on
Yeah.
center, you
Yeah,
need all that
that's what
information.
your
That's it.
engineer does for you.
3 feet
Yeah.
on center.
It depends where you're putting it.
I'm just
But, yeah.
surprised that, looking at this, that we need to actually tout it out for you.
Well, we need
can't
to
read the
see what it
plans.
looks like, just laid out.
Yeah.
on the
You mean like a
PowerPoint.
sidewalk? Is that what you mean?
No, that,
Oh,
so you've been
stakes.
out to see the house, so you
Okay.
can pretty much look at that.
We need to have a state.
Right,
Yeah,
but
it's-
you said that the new building isn't going exactly where the old one is.
Right.
Right.
So it's so for pretty much any site walk, it's standard to have locations of anything flagged, just so there's no confusion, because it's actually in your interest for us to know exactly where something is going, so we can discuss it with your engineer, so there's not some surprise down the road where we're like, hey, you can't, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So
Is erosion
it's
control
actually
on that
in
plan?
everybody's
Yes.
best interest to
Sure.
have it physically marked in
Proposing-
the field.
Wattles.
These things look different on the plan.
It's more for limited work than anything, I think, on this site.
Yep.
Well, and you'll know there's no stockpiling.
Yeah, well, that'll go, in conditions, I can put that on there, no stockpiling anywhere within the 50 or anywhere on the site.
100.
Okay. No stockpiling, all right, no
Do you have room
stockpiling
for
of, what's that?
Do you have room for that?
Well, what are you telling me you can't stockpile?
To build the house?
Can't stockpile anything?
So
Yes.
you're gonna have to, if you're gonna stockpile anything within 100 feet,
Yes.
you have to designate where it is,
Yeah.
and you have to control it,
Yeah.
and you have to show a method to which you're gonna control it. So worst case scenario, you dump all this loam or fill, and it rains and it washes and
Yeah.
it slides down into the wetlands.
Yeah.
Then your project is ceased,
Yeah.
and then you have to clean everything up by hand. So that's why we
Which
have
is
to be
really
really
expensive.
careful of
You'd
anything you're
rather
doing.
avoid that.
in the-
Right,
So
well-
we're trying to protect you from
Yeah.
doing
It would
that.
No,
need a
I don't
separate
think-
set of erosion controls.
Yeah, I don't think there's, with stockpiling, they're gonna, obviously gonna have to bring on hard materials as far as to build the
There are
house,
some
but-
sites that you
Yeah,
only bring in and out, that you
Yeah.
don't stockpile.
okay,
And so that would have to be out of the 50 for sure.
yeah, okay. No, but I mean, when the guy comes in with the
Lumber.
lumber and the trusses, they gotta sit there
Right,
for
we're
a
talking
couple hours.
about material in terms of soil.
Yeah, they're not
So
gonna
not,
break, yeah.
not like your lumber.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay, that's what I'm
exactly.
talking, all
Yes,
right.
sir. So
There's gonna be no
for-
soil.
for
This
us-
is-
Soil.
Yeah,
All right, but that's
yeah.
when we said material,
So
I thought it
us
meant
is-
everything.
No,
No.
material for us
But
is
you're
soil.
excavating, you're maybe bringing in
Right.
topsoil, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be excavating for the foundation.
Right, and that's gonna come out.
Right.
Yeah, that'll go right off site. They're
Load and go.
gonna make money off of
We'll
that.
have a
There's
dump
stuff coming out
truck.
there, yeah.
Do you anticipate with the cesspool, do you anticipate having to remove additional soil from that? Because cesspools usually don't, like a septic system, as I'm sure you're aware, treats the waste.
Yeah.
The cesspool, typically, it's not designed to treat the waste
Right.
as far as I'm aware, so are you anticipating, like,
Over excavate, you mean?
But
Yeah.
if there's wet material in there, they'll have to
Yeah.
pump it out.
Yeah.
If not, they'll just probably take some sand from the foundation, dump it in there. I don't know, maybe crush it and then put it in there.
I'm
But
sorry,
if you have-
where's the cesspool?
Cesspool's off
It's gonna be
over this
somewhere.
side, yeah.
How close is it to the wetlands?
I'll put it on there. It's,
So it's
it's,
being
it's probably
filled,
40 feet.
excavated?
You have
I'm
to,
just not.
you have
to remove
to,
it.
yeah, that has to be on the plan, what you're doing with that.
Yes.
And that, Board of Health has to approve that as well.
Right, yeah. But most of the time, the general practice, there's gonna be
Most of them
nothing.
aren't within 50 feet of the
Yeah.
wetlands.
But I mean, if
So-
there's nothing in there, you can just fill it, right? If there's nothing,
my question
and
was,
that's-
since it's a cesspool that's not designed to treat the septic in the first place, it'd be
Yeah.
different from, dealing with a septic system, that's all. I was just
Yeah.
asking you to deal with that as
Right.
appropriate.
right, okay. And I guess I just wanna make sure that we're on the same page as appropriate, because,
So that
before we
means
come
you
back.
have to take everything that's in there out and assess, like say if it's broken,
Yeah.
that means you're gonna have to excavate that contaminated soil out and then backfill it
Okay,
with material that Board of Health would say is appropriate.
okay. That's just more work than more threatening to the, I mean, it's more excavation than, you know, pumping and filling
But
it.
that can,
So the nutrients will seep
Yeah.
out into
Okay.
the bank eventually.
And that area is just gonna be seeded,
Yeah, restored.
so lawn?
Well, if it's not broken, it just needs to be pumped up.
No, we'll dig it out. We'll dig it out.
so,
I don't want any ifs, ands, or buts.
okay, so you'll get back in touch with Amy in regards to when the stakes are out, and then
Yeah.
you'll need to submit new plans that have that type of detail on it, at least the Thursday before the hearing,
Right. Yeah. Oh, we'll get the septic plans. Yeah.
the 19th.
19.
This month.
Yep. Yep, so it would have to be,
So you're okay with this work in the 50-foot no disturb area because of the public interest?
I haven't seen the waiver yet.
Okay, so, because I think that's probably one of the main things you wanna,
Well, I guess when people are asking for additional work, or asking for additional clarification, that's where we're going, when no one's mentioned that this is a no-go yet. If
Well,
somebody,
Do you have, I haven't seen, no, we haven't seen your waiver.
okay, it was submitted.
it was posted. Here's one copy of it.
And I mean, there's more detail in the narrative.
I tried to reread it today. I read it a few days ago, but the links are broken, Amy, for
Oh.
whatever reason, on the
All of them?
website.
Oh,
All of
interesting.
them, yeah. I tried to reread them today.
Sorry.
My handwriting's.
Did you read them okay the first time?
Yeah.
Then you broke them.
Huh? Maybe I did. Maybe I did, but I did try to
All right,
get
I'll
back
go
into
back
them
and
today,
check,
and
yeah.
all of the links were broken.
I mean, is there consent with, is there a thought with the board that if we come back and show these things that it's gonna be dead on arrival again, or is there some thought that this is a viable project?
I think it's a viable project.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's one.
yeah.
I know, we got
Yeah.
one.
Well, I just wanted to understand.
Just
I
keep
wanted
in
to do all
mind,
the work,
you're
yeah.
kind of setting a precedent
Oh, no.
Yeah.
with the
That's why I-
NDA, so.
And I
Well,
haven't,
but there's
I
no-
haven't been
I
out
think,
yet, so.
I think the difference on this is that there's an existing house.
Impervious is being reduced, I just want to make sure that everything's.
That's the difference. If
Yeah.
this was obviously a
They're mowing all the way
lot
up to the.
that had nothing on it, it'd be a
pond.
huge.
Right. Oh, well, you can't, it's,
There's a
that's dead on
cesspool.
arrival.
There's a cesspool and not a septic system.
But from what I learned on
What is this word? Can't read your
structure,
writing.
yeah, I know.
We should
Um,
type these out, maybe.
Give them to me in a form.
Handwriting is a little
It's
tough.
it's a PDF.
Give them to me in a form, I can type them out, I'll gladly type them. I told you, I got writer's cramp from when I was
yeah.
done with this.
You have Adobe Acroplot is a
There's some-
cheaper
there-
version of
there's some
Actually,
Adobe.
if you'd like to
Free ones
redo the
online.
form and
Yeah.
then fill
Adobe
the form.
DC, you can't do anything
That
with
must have that
with
word, you
DC,
wrote it.
but.
It's in Word, yeah, but if I give it to you in Word, it's gonna get changed.
Right.
So it's, the form itself gets messed up.
So,
Acroplot's nice, it's cheaper than Acro. It's cheap, you can do
Yeah,
a
but
lot with it.
You can get them online now that are free, too.
But DC doesn't, like, I have to do
Yeah, I have to
engineering
pay for it.
adjustments
Yeah.
to figures, and Acroplot will do it, and it's
Acroplot.
cheaper than Acrobat,
Acrobat.
and it does more. But DC
Well, but
is
it depends,
useless.
it depends what the town has.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you could take any
Because then you just save it as a
PDF.
PDF.
You could save it as a PDF and then just.
yeah. Lost my train of thought. I had some notes.
So, back to the, is this a viable option or not? Because we keep coming, I mean, I don't know how you.
I think we
feel.
answered that.
Yes,
Yeah.
they already said yes. I
Oh,
think,
I only heard.
just gotta put these stakes in and.
We
then the
haven't
links for the next.
obviously voted. So-
No, I know,
But no one's jumping up to say no at this point, so I would
Right.
just, yeah, so that's all I
Well,
want.
there are options, so that the waiver bar for, that we're going for is the public benefit. And so I see
Yeah.
ways that you can improve the lot that you could meet that. So,
One thing is
And that's
getting
what-
rid of the old septic.
Right.
And that's what
Yeah.
comes
Yeah,
into
that's
your,
that's like number one for me.
and that's what comes into your decision. When I was on Board of Health, I learned that the boards can't, the only board that can set a precedence is ZBA, because it's legal. And if you do something, and somebody comes in and says, someone on the Board of Health, well, you gave that guy a variance, so you have to give it to me. And if we wrote our variances the right way, you could justify why it was special for that project, and you didn't necessarily mean that you had to give it to everybody down the road.
we still have to be fair.
Yeah,
Which is why I just want to make sure the commission was comfortable with.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna have
So
to write
you-
out these
So just to
findings.
circle back around, you'll let Amy know as soon as you have the stakes out.
Yes.
Okay.
So what did you see that you liked? The note, the buffer zone, the gravel driveway?
Yeah, it was just some of the items that we had discussed last time
Yeah.
you folks were in were clearly addressed and added to the plan
You better
and,
pick your one.
yeah, it's just the bar for the public benefit is to make the site better and to improve the environment, and there are ways to do this with this site.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you. Yep.
I'll have them done Wednesday if they can come over and hold the bar.
Thank you.
Is
Yeah,
this
I
your
think that's
copy,
Amy's
Claire, or is this Amy?
I think
Is
it's
Amy's?
Amy's copy.
That's it.
That's Amy's.
Okay, continued discussion,
Yeah,
conservation.
so Rick wants to
Oh.
ask a question.
Oh.
Yeah.
Stick around, I think.
Oh.
The non-disturbed area is in perpetuity.
Yes.
Are you expecting that to return to forest?
Oh, the 6-foot no-mow area
Yeah.
along the edge of the pond. You're gonna want to discuss that if how you want to.
I mean, can they come
Limit.
back
So right
later?
now
I'm,
it's-
I'm concerned about invasives. I mean, if Japanese knotweed starts covering the shore, I mean,
Yeah,
can
yeah,
they
you'd
come
wanna
back and
address
get
that.
permission to take care of it?
Control invasive is a
Yeah.
exempt
Exempt
activity.
anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that
Anyway, they
Do
may
it in
wanna
the water.
Clip the
Yeah.
birch trees that are growing too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that legal?
That's what I was just.
Well, I think once you take a site walk, you see what's actually out there, you'll have a better idea of what you
Yeah.
want, and you can put those in if you
It
do
can
your
be- it
site
can be
walk before I
conditions.
submit my plans, then I can get it on the plan. If not, we'll throw it in as a condition.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Shading the water is important.
I'll write it down.
Continued discussion, conservation restriction, area restoration, 61 Hot Lab.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
So where are we?
So we all went out on a site walk a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And I think what we saw at that point was probably a little bit more than what we had anticipated with an area that had been created for, that has the rocks and the walls in the back. Also, we had asked for soil discovery in where the volleyball pit was. So to see, to dig down and let us know what was underneath that.
Right, I did
Let's
send
hold on a
Amy-
second,
oh,
'cause she's gonna take notes.
yeah, sure.
So we'll just hold up a second.
No problem.
We decided to wait for you. Okay, so getting back to the soil discovery, tell us what you learned.
Yeah, we dig a few holes to the area, and we discovered from 6 inches all the way to 32 inches as we found the soil. So
Okay.
in other words, we need to pretty much remove all that material out.
Okay.
I was finally able to print those pictures. It took some doing, but these are some pictures of what they did.
So,
32.
yeah, that's the deepest. So I want to make sure in case.
Right, yeah,
Right, so
But the
that's,
thir-
that's
the
like
32
slopes.
is probably over by the boulders.
right.
Yeah.
Right, so the
That
further
makes
that you
sense.
spread out, that's where the deepest
Yeah.
part
Right.
was.
That
That's
makes-
the
that makes
deepest,
sense.
Yeah, and then close to the lawn was like 6 inches. But I don't know how to work about that because that's not within the
Yeah.
conservation restrictions.
So when we were out, we noticed that there was, so you have your wattles in.
Yes, I did that.
Are your wattles staked?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
3 foot,
Okay.
and close to the water, I did like 2, just make sure it's safe.
Okay. And then the other issue was the surveying markers, the 2 markers. One we understand was taken because that's the area of excavation.
Right.
And then the one over by the trampoline
Yeah.
that was there is not existing as well. So that needs to be resurveyed
Right.
and put back in. So I guess the question is how you are going to successfully bring this back to its original state. So by excavating the soils, and then what are you going to bring back in, and then plantings as well.
Well, first we need to remove the sand. Once that's done, we're gonna work with Emmy as far as the plants. Whatever we need to implement, I guess. I think when we were there, we tried to discuss a little bit about the plants, but I think it was too far down. I thought at the time that we need to address the issue with the sand first. Once that's out of there, we'll continue.
Right, because we discussed that trees are not going to want to live in 32 inches
Right,
of sand.
that's exactly.
Usually.
Right, that's,
Yeah, we'll
you
do
know,
some more pictures.
and she also sent out an email about she coming back and discuss with dig the holes and measure it. Did you tape measure?
Yeah, they started doing that.
Right.
When I was still there.
So, and,
Over there. Yeah.
right, so I just wanna,
This is the day that we were there.
so.
So I guess one, just
A lot of fill.
Something that's already there.
No.
No.
All right.
No, it's clearly, it's like uniform sand. It's clearly.
Because some of that area was
No,
kind
it's-
of gravelly and sandy
No, it was all brought
You know,
It was, yeah.
up in that area.
So it was graded to a bench, so it was within a graded area on a slope.
So time frame for this, as we're going into fall now, are we looking to do this now and try and stabilize it through the winter? Because it's then gonna be back down more to grade, its natural grade versus sheeting off. Do you want the applicant to wait, or do you want him to do it sooner? There's nothing stabilizing it right now, so.
Well, it's kind of like a mess in between, so you gotta might as well finish it.
That's what I'm thinking. Because it's nothing, we don't have any,
There's nothing to hold it
there's
back.
nothing to hold it. And it already has started to make its way
Show
down.
Jim that.
Yeah.
If it was hydro seed, Carl, would have.
What?
No,
They brought the,
I don't think you could do it, no.
do this whole area.
I put some rattles that just make sure they won't get worse.
Whole area.
And I
this is
put a
like
couple,
32
just,
inches.
you know,
Yeah,
to better than safe than sorry.
Yeah,
you got to
right.
change
So,
what-
right.
I decided myself, I'm not gonna
Is
remove
This
that
is
right
what it
now.
was, and he
I'm just
took
gonna
it
take it
all
all
out,
at
took all the
once.
seeds
Right,
out, and then
right,
all
that's
the
good.
rough
Yes.
up.
Well, what kind of fill you want to put back in there?
No, we're taking it out, bring it back to its grade.
So this is built up.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, so no, we're taking it back out to bring it back to its grade. Because right now it's too high and it's running off.
I think either way we run a risk with weather, we don't know. I mean, there's been some heavy
But you have to
rain.
remember
Maybe it
this-
should be
this has
staked
to-
hay bales so you, with a silt fence.
Well, he's got wattles in there now.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if you're worried at all, maybe you need to put some staked hay bales with silt fence to keep it from going.
I think you do, because once you, that's the coarser stuff. What you're gonna uncover is gonna be
You're gonna
finer and more apt to move, and you're gonna have a slope instead of a bench. And so although I agree with you that the current grading is problematic, I do have concerns that if we create a slope instead with fines, it's gonna be worse from a stabilization standpoint through the winter.
You can mulch it though.
You could mulch it, but there's a lot of water coming off that hill.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a big hill, and there's drainage, I understand there's drainage from under the road that's
Right.
diverted in there.
Because I recorded all the rain that came over the weekend, and I have about like 6 to 8 inches of water over the grass.
And I don't think we have a good,
Oh.
good
Oh, yeah.
option.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
I had at least 5.
And I have my phone just to,
You said the road drainage goes down there
Yeah.
too?
Stream would work.
Was that in the,
That's why
was
I
that in
just
the original
overflows.
filing?
yeah,
Road.
come from the other side
drain
of
was gonna
Hartwell.
come
Mrs.
down.
Hartwell original owned
Right
everything.
down.
Come down from home,
I think it was,
behind
yeah.
the property, and go under the road, go back to my neighbors, and then I'm the last house down the road.
So you're getting it.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Right, but that was on the original filing. But that would have, but see, that's why that was all in CR, because that was all trees.
Yeah.
That was all,
Right.
you weren't gonna
They can
get,
leave it.
it had an area, it had a flooding capacity.
Right. Which it doesn't
You know,
have now.
Right, because it's been built out.
Nothing to do with this, but we just,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Right, so he needs some direction
So
and
we-
timing and sequence and,
Would it be better to maybe wait and stabilize it temporarily and then do everything at once?
well, you can do it all now, it's just that you'd have to put mulch on the top, and then in the spring, go ahead and do your plantings.
Well, what would,
Then-
okay, if you're gonna do your planting, could you use bark mulch or something on it, or wood chips? And then
Just to
plant
hold it
into
through the
it?
winter.
You're gonna wanna seed it, aren't you?
What is it gonna take?
If you do
Right.
it now, it's not going to.
Right, and- yeah.
And you'd have to remove the bark mulch. You can't stick seed on the.
I wonder if we're
bark
better
mulch.
off waiting.
I think so.
That's-
I'm wondering
Yeah.
if we're better off waiting now that I start to
Is the
think
sand?
about
I mean,
it.
the sand has capacity. It will slow the water down. It will be. I mean, it is running off a little bit at the top, but I'm really worried if we create more of a slope on the fines, we're gonna like Mickey Jensen's Pittarino's backyard.
Right.
Is
so if I remove, I'm not saying, I have to go back to your nap. Let's, if you decide to go forward with this, remove the sand before winter, what's the downside of it?
So basically, if you removed the sand, you don't have any growing time, so you wouldn't be able to mulch it and hydroseed it. So you'd probably have to put down just a straight mulch, but then you're gonna have to pull that back in order to then put loam down and hydroseed it, or just seed it in the spring.
Oh, I see.
So the only thing is that you're putting a little bit of something down now that you'll just probably have to pull
I
off.
think they maybe do the whole thing as one project.
Mm-hmm.
We pull it out and then come back in there and plant it, as opposed to like Sarah said, you're doing, put more stuff in and pull more stuff out.
Right.
and
But
whatever's-
you're responsible that this doesn't happen all winter
Right.
and all fall,
Yep.
all spring.
Right.
So,
It has to be stable, regardless of whether you remove
So
the
what-
sand or not. It has to be stable.
and wattles probably are not going to be
Enough.
suitable to maintain that
Like
through the
some
winter.
bales out there.
And you might
Some
wanna
bales.
step it.
Right. So usually you put it like here and then just wait, go another 20 feet and then do it again. So that's kind of like your line of defense.
Right.
Maybe even before it too, like the water coming off the hillside.
I have
If
a-
there's
okay.
At the edge of
make
the
some
lawn.
check dams with
I
like
can divert the
straw.
water,
Yeah,
get the
it's a
eventually he
tough
finds
spot
a way,
with the
yeah.
water.
I see what you mean. I can put a water.
But I think that's your best chance to make something
I'd use
stable for
hay
the
bales, I
winter.
wouldn't use wattles.
It's
You
just
get
a wait.
Wattles
Hay
just
bales,
they don't have a lot of capacity.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so I would what's this picture over here? Because the water it's interesting because it comes all the way instead of going straight. So if they water the water with the hay bunch of hay is right over there, I think, and keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, fresh stone would work too, but that,
Then
you
he's gonna
gotta
have to
do
bring it.
something on that.
Right, but then it's going to have to
Bring it in, take it out.
Yeah, you really do have to watch it and be careful, because it can take off on you.
I know.
Now, erosion control blankets could also work too, but
Which one?
erosion control blankets, which is almost like a netting
Yeah.
with coconut fibers or something in it.
Okay.
I've had
It gets
really good
expensive,
success with
Yeah,
that.
no,
big
that's
area.
true.
Yeah.
Just roll it
Even
out.
rolls of like 300 and 500.
I think you're in a worse spot though if we try to stabilize the slope with fines
Yeah.
over the winter.
So if you want to come up with just a photo that shows where you want to put the whatever erosion control and send that to Amy. But then during the winter,
Or maybe I can just come out when you need.
Yeah, that would be better.
Yeah.
right,
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. Make sure do once.
but
And,
then
and in the long term, that sort of stone retaining wall, I assume can probably stay
For now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
forever.
Oh, forever.
you're going to have to excavate in front of it though. You're gonna
Right.
keep the stones,
But I don't know
pull.
I don't know if you wanted the boulders moved or if they can, they're not really,
It's
they're not
part of
natural,
Mother
but.
Nature, so
Yeah,
why not leave
they
it?
don't bother me.
So they
But
can
there
stay,
might
but
be
you
a
have
good
to bring.
boundary. Is that what you're thinking?
No, they're not, well, they could be pulled up to the boundary, actually, if you got equipment back there. They could be used for
You're gonna
that.
have lots of equipment excavating.
Put them on the CR line.
You're gonna do a lot of soil compaction though, if we wanna try to, plant in that area and you've got heavy equipment on it pulling boulders back, it's a lot of compaction.
Well, you can have heavy equipment on there pulling the sand out.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, that
it's
is
gonna
true.
be.
I think you might have to assess in the spring what the conditions look like in terms of it being able to take seed.
Right. I do think we need to talk about what trees are gonna go in there in terms of foresting that back as well,
Mm.
so.
That's where you come
Yeah,
in.
these guys had a list.
Problem.
Have you ever been out there?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. That might be a
Well,
good
maybe
idea
if I,
Yeah,
yeah,
to go
maybe
out.
you can go out with me when I go
'Cause
out
you
to
can
take a look at this,
see
if you're around.
Yeah.
Really what was to be protected in the Sierra area, because you're right there, and then maybe be able to look at that.
Match.
Yep, that'd be great. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give these back to you. Okay, so if you can just, contact Amy to see when, you guys can go out, that would be helpful.
The sooner the better. I think we're gonna have frost in the ground probably next week. The way they were talking.
Frost, yeah. Yeah. You wanna try and just get your erosion controls in before the ground gets too high.
It's frozen.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Alright, so we'll you can send an email and follow up with that. And see what
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I mean, even if it's raining, it's an easy thing to walk out to, so it kind of depends on your schedule too. I know you're.
Not too far away. I'm just kidding.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, can you sign a bunch of stuff for me?
Of course I can.
You
Yeah,
do
you
that in
done?
the office,
Yes.
if you want to get out of here, but.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Susanna's
Yeah.
in here. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Informal discussion, 27 Fort Pond Road, 204-603.
Hi.
We're here. We're here to discuss a order of conditions from 2006 that was never signed off. On a house that was completed in about 2008 but never occupied. The house never received a certificate of occupancy. Subsequently, the common driveway permit that the planning board issued was never completed. Roadway, the improvements to the driveway that were conditional, both by the Board of Appeals and the Planning Board, were not met. So, the first question is, we're proposing to alter some work that was done in 2009.
So, just to back up, so I know that this is the site that I spent a lot of time on with the fill that was put in there, and I believe we had a did we have a cease and desist on this at one point
No.
as well? It goes right down the hill to the right, all the way down, the fill,
There's a house way down on the end,
is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
All the way down?
all the way down the end.
It kind of approaches up behind 628 Newtown.
Right, and the water comes straight down into the basement. The fill that was put around the perimeter and out back was construction material. We had a lot of concerns with that, and then all of a sudden, everything stopped,
Mhm.
and that's why we didn't pursue it. So, yeah, I know the site really well.
Okay.
Is this the site where the trees were falling and they covered over?
Yep. That, and then, yeah, okay.
When was that?
Yeah,
Back in,
Yeah, our association.
right
stopped
when we
with this.
started building this house.
Ours stopped in 2008.
So were you the first builder?
No,
Okay, so I worked with the first builder.
Bob Turney.
Right.
I built the septic system, and then I left.
Okay.
Okay.
So I will first state that I will expect discovery to be done on anywhere that was filled within 100 feet of the wetlands to know what material was put in there. Because you could see back then that there was really inappropriate fill that went in.
Meaning?
Meaning construction debris,
Okay.
things that are not covered under clean fill.
Mhm.
So just something to put forward.
So is that a test hole, borings?
I think that we'd want the commission to go out and look at it and make that decision really cohesively, so we can give a list of where everyone's gonna feel their comfort level is,
Okay.
and to see if the wetlands has changed in that point. since then.
Okay. All right, so to back up, to come up to date, this is the owner, Sid.
When did you buy it?
The prospective buyer.
That was in June. It was, this property was kind of abandoned for a number of years, and the bank foreclosed on this thing.
Okay.
The June of 2018.
Right, right. And I bought it with the intent to obviously clear all the issues which was pending in there and getting a occupancy permit.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
a lot
Yep.
more than on my plate, but we have to do what we have to do, so,
Yep. Okay.
yeah.
So initially, the planning board granted the special permit for a common driveway. It required that the driveway be paved and that it be of a certain width. But most importantly was that the driveway have a turnout at the bottom of the hill to allow a certain size truck to be able to nose in or back in and then do a 3 or 4 point turn and get out without having to back up to that. So the original plan that the planning board and the Board of Appeals approved included that down in here. And this is what was approved. It was not constructed that way.
Right, because the water, back when I was there, would run down the road
Sure.
and go right into the garage.
Right.
And fill, because it was not constructed properly. So, yeah.
So, around 2012, it was paved. The driveway was built substantially to this plan in that it had a drain on one side, and it was tilted to that side to drain, to take most of the water down, to come down the hill. It was encouraged by grading to enter into the swale and then come across the driveway underneath the swale and exit out down in here some more. Be that as it is, the driveway still doesn't work for the fire department. So, in going before the planning board about a month ago, the planning board requested that we find something that would make the fire department as comfortable as they could. This plan is the result of that. So the proposal is to take the existing pavement, shown here, excavate about 7 to 8 feet from the end of the pavement and around here, and to take out the top and sub and replace that with gravel. Also build in a radius of at least 25 feet. So we would fill in, or we would disturb about 220 feet on the low end. On the high end, we would cut into the hill, use some type of gravity retaining wall to hold back the slope.
So you're talking about as you drive down on the left to cut into that one?
Exactly. Build a retaining wall and then add about 400 feet of area in here, again, surface it with gravel. So we have about a 72-foot T across, perpendicular, parallel to the face of the garage. Also to build in at least a 20-foot radius here. So what we're doing is outside of the riparian zone, but it's within the 100-foot buffer zone.
Can I ask you just a couple of questions? And this is more for Amy. Order of conditions, were they extended?
No.
Okay, so this is a totally new filing. You never got, was the septic ever approved?
No.
Because I know they didn't get a building permit. I had thought, correct, that the septic never got approved. And it would be an all new filing.
Well, they have a building permit.
Right, which was never signed off. It was never
So they don't have an
completed.
occupancy permit.
Right.
Yeah, it's new
And
file.
the order of conditions is well expired. Yeah. So
Yeah, Bob Tierney did come in for a certificate of compliance a year or so ago.
Right, and then,
Then everything just blew up. Yeah,
yeah, that wasn't gonna happen.
it never went anywhere.
So, okay. So my suggestion to start is an element filing, wetlands needs to be flagged, and then we need to know what has been built. I know that the drainage was a question that got, you're right, got put in. And then I would encourage everyone to go out and look. But yeah, 2006 is a long time.
Was it extended? It was extended? It never was?
I don't know if it never was, it wasn't recently. I'd have to pull the file to see what's
It
in
would
there.
only be 3-year extensions.
I understand. So if it's expired, that's, I guess that's my question.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was, but in.
I'd have to double check the files.
If it was 6, it would have been 9, then it would have been 12. We wouldn't have gone beyond probably the 12.
Yeah, we never go past 2.
So it's a dead issue.
I would encourage.
So worst case, a new notice of intent, best case, an amended order of conditions.
Right,
If
I
it's
would
still-
encourage, like, go ahead and keep the process moving and set a sidewalk, for sure, to get out there. We certainly don't wanna see it snow on the ground, and go ahead and get going with that.
So you'd want some of this work staked out, your proposed limits.
Of the driveway work. Okay.
Because I think it's obvious with the bank, you can see how far you're gonna cut back into that.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, you probably want to highlight any other changes that were made from the approved order of condition plans, like the well,
The only one I'm aware of is the well.
yeah, and the front steps for,
That fell off.
yeah, they're separated.
So what happens with the septic, if the septic was never approved?
I've applied for a new permit for the
So you
septic
take
system.
that septic out and put a
No.
new septic?
No.
But how do you know it was constructed properly?
I was there during the construction. I built the septic system.
But it never got signed off?
No.
Okay.
It
I'm
was
just curious if
inspected.
that's gonna fall into any other
No.
setbacks or
There are
something that we need to-
two changes in Title V that we would owe. One of them is adding risers
Mhm.
to grade, and the other is an inspection port.
Okay.
But
So
the work was,
fairly minor.
yeah, the work was inspected at each point in the process by the agent. The work was never signed off because we broke up our relationship with the builder.
Okay.
Who was the builder?
His name was Bob Tierney.
So Amy, if you can research.
Yep.
Because then we'd have to have wetlands flagged fairly quickly.
Yeah, and we need, because on different plans, the buffer zone's in different places,
Right.
so we
Yeah,
need
I got
to
the,
check that all anyway.
We would need a new plan that actually has the building, the as-built of where the building is in proximity to the wetlands. Because my understanding, the as-built was never done either.
well, it was done. This is the result of it. It
Yeah,
was never
there was
submitted
an as-built.
Because we were just,
So what year was the as-built done?
the as-built,
For the
my
house?
as-built was 2009.
Okay.
Is your proposal gonna satisfy the fire department? Because, I mean, they got bigger trucks now than they did then.
Yes, this is as much of a compromise, I think, as could be made. I think it's a substantial job to cut into this hill. At this point, the wall is probably going to be 8.5 feet tall.
Do you have ledge?
No.
Okay.
Is there water coming out of that hill?
It's,
Runs down the driveway.
Yeah, but
well, it
I'm
doesn't
asking
run down the
if it's coming
driveway,
out
it
of the
runs
hill.
down the swale. And then it cuts across. There's some sheeting action up around in here, but
Right.
there was always that down the hill action anyway. This may require some more fancy work, because I think once we do cut into here, we're going to encourage some seepage.
So is that gonna be a stepped wall? In other words, couple steps up.
Yeah, mostly I was just envisioning a gravity wall, large stones, or maybe a concrete or a masonry wall.
Sarah, did you say water was running into the foundation?
When
Right
there's
into
a
the driveway.
garage.
I mean, right into the garage. Okay. So do you want to let Amy know when you have your things staked and ready to
Sure.
go? And
Mhm.
maybe you can chat with her this week about if it's a new filing.
Okay.
But we would like to have the commissioners go while you can see the vegetation. Okay, thank you.
Could you make sure you sign in, Sid?
Sure. Is some people here for Chestnut?
Why don't we push him to the end on the off chance he shows up?
Oh,
But
right, 'cause he's
he
at
was
another
in
meeting.
Westford and he got bumped to Westford, so he's not sure if he can make it or not.
Okay. Time anyway for 8:45. Enforcement order 10 Fort Pond Road.
No breaks.
Acton, Littleton, U2718-0. So where are we at with this one?
So he, there's a set of pictures, that's my pictures, and, oops, I'm sorry, and the same day some pictures that Mr. Hoffman took. So you just want to run through what you have done for the
Oh, yeah.
stabilization out there?
Excuse me. So, there was an erosion control mat that was put down. It was seeded with white Dutch clover, but they don't, the landscaper doesn't suspect that this time of the year the clover will actually take hold, so it'll probably grow in the spring and they'll come back in the season whenever it doesn't take hold. And then they put some straw that just decomposes to hold the seed and everything in place. They re-gravelled the driveway.
So when was the re-graveling done?
Oh, this was all done, I don't know, probably at least a week and a half ago now. It was when,
And does the gravel fall under maintenance, or is that something that was just done in that portion?
well, we just, I don't know if I understand the
Well,
question,
I'm
but we did
curious
it in our
because the gravel
section.
falls within the buffer zone, that sometimes there's an order of conditions that goes in continually that allows you to do maintenance on a road.
Oh,
So that's why I'm asking how you were permitted to put the gravel down. If that was something that you already had the order of conditions from previous years and it allows you to continue maintenance.
I think it does. I just know that we were asked to take care of that too. I put that in proposals, submitted it, and everybody said, yeah, you guys should do that, so. It's what was in place. Now it's better than what's there in the other place.
Okay. I was out on the site today. There is significant erosion with that hill where goes right down into the water. The juding is there in front of the pavilion, or whatever we're calling the gazebo. That's stable. My marking is that we're at 61 feet to the closest wetlands, being the shore. The building inspector went out today, concurred that the structure is within the buffer zone. He had, I think, at 80 feet to the structure. His notes were submitted to Amy today. So I feel as though we're definitely within the buffer zone. And there's water running down the hill, so the added volume of water from the pavilion is going onto the road, shooting off the road and going down the hill. So you can tell even by the boats, I've splatter of mud on the boats from that, and it carries down into the water. So there's absolutely no erosion control going into the lake. So you've added additional water because you've got your roof and now you've got the clearing there as well. So that was my observation today.
So how do you propose to, do you have any proposals as to how you?
Back it up. Back it up. It's in the wrong place.
What, the gazebo?
Yeah. It's in the buffer zone. Yep, there's no erosion control going on. The electrician went out. The electrician, no permit been pulled. For Littleton, unless you pulled it through Acton.
I'm not sure how we pulled it. It's Wilson Brothers back in.
This,
The contract.
that isn't permitted in terms of, it's in the buffer zone. And it's also, if you have electrical,
Okay, I don't know, he's working with Littleton Electric.
you still have to have, if you're within 100 feet, you have to have a permit.
Okay. I'll ask him, I think he's saying by tomorrow. I don't know.
Right.
So the immediate problem is the,
Structure is in the wrong place.
and the increase in impervious surface and the runoff to
Does
the
he
lake.
have room on his property to move the structure back?
I don't know, I don't see that.
Well, that was where the structure from the 70s was. So that there was an existing structure that burned down. So we just put that structure, so I can move it back, and then I'm gonna cut a whole bunch of trees down to do it. There's gonna be more.
Well, you'll have to
erosion, but I'm gonna
replant,
be
because they
outside
already
the
took
buffer.
other trees that came down, have to get replanted.
There were small saplings, so
Oh.
we can do that. I mean, it's just what grew since there was nothing.
Do you want an after effect, basically notice of intent file?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
When did it burn down?
Late 70s?
Okay.
I don't know. if it was 77,
Okay,
79.
so I mean, we're talking like a pretty big gap in time where you
Oh, yeah.
can't be like,
Yeah,
hey,
I
it
didn't-
burned down.
I didn't own the property.
like
I
3
only
years
owned this
ago and-
for
Okay.
a little over 2 years.
Okay.
So that was, when you went there before that, there was no gravel there. There were a few saplings and that was it. Wasn't level, but it was fairly level.
So my question
There was
is, if you
a
filed,
huge chimney there that had
would
to
you
get knocked
allow
down.
him
That's
to
what I'm
leave the
trying to say.
structure there?
So there's a chimney in place of this?
Right behind it,
Okay.
And a whole other parking area.
from the cabin that was there in the 70s that burnt down. So the whole thing burnt, but that,
But the chimney
Rock
remained, was
chimney
there a
for-
pad there?
no,
No?
no, no. And there's no footings or anything on that. It's just 3 inches of ground.
Great.
Yeah, we can move it back 200 feet. We're just gonna cut a whole bunch of trees down, and I don't know what issues that'll cause. It'll be outside the buffer zone, so.
Well, you have to
guess I can
control
do it,
any
but-
water that's coming from your property and going into the lake, you have to control.
Yeah,
Whether
that's
it
right.
was done before or other. So you still have, regardless of the structure, you still have to deal with the erosion that's going on, where the boats are, and where that parking area got put in prior to your ownership.
What's the closest point that the structure is to the?
Well, to the toe
Wetlands.
slope, 61 feet. So this area, so this area that's open and
Yeah.
not vegetated,
We've never done anything to this.
I know, but you have water that's coming from your site, and so there's no erosion control that's keeping anything coming into the lake as well. And so
You mean
by,
for this area?
yep,
So do you want us to do erosion control for this area?
so we're happy to meet with you out on site again.
Okay, because
But
we never did anything to this area. We never touched this.
You're adding more water. By the clearing that you've done here,
Okay,
you've added more water now coming down
Direct
into that
discharge
area.
down to the.
okay. I didn't see that before, so yeah, I'd like to have you come down and show
Yep.
me.
Let's see.
The
Because I didn't see
Yeah, so
it coming over.
specifically, it's coming like down here, and it's coming through this area, and it's coming around
But from
over here.
from
So
the
water,
gazebo area?
So the water's coming up off this road, and you can see, well, obviously by here,
So here, where's it on here?
well, you've got leaf cover, so. But you've added
I don't think it's in that.
volume,
I might have a picture.
but by having a roof, you're shedding water down onto
Okay,
the
yeah,
street.
no, I
onto
just
there.
didn't see any current or anything. That's why I was curious.
Did you go out today?
No, I took this right after, this was last week, I sent this to Amy, right after we had the torrential
Yep,
storms.
so I was out there today. Yep.
Okay. So would it be, so I'll be able to see it crossing the road then?
If you look
Is that what
here.
you're saying?
coming down here, you'll
Yeah.
see wherever you see channels and you see where the dirt has
Okay,
moved away.
okay.
You can see that. But by adding this, you've added, so it's one thing to have gazebos with no, just like open gazebos, so the water ultimately can infiltrate in. You're now shedding the water off, which is heading down to.
How about if you put gutters on it and put dry well on the outside?
Well, that gravel area goes on to other properties, right? That's one of the,
No.
sort of the common drivers at the
Oh,
end.
oh, the driveway?
Yeah,
Yeah,
That
no,
goes-
we just repaired ours.
Yeah.
We didn't do anybody else's. Yeah, it goes.
but you can't move it or, you know,
Oh, no, no,
it's
no.
an easement that's gotta,
Yeah, yeah, you can't,
Serves
yeah,
other
they don't want
purposes.
to.
People drive on that?
Oh, the people who own properties there do. And I think the town has access to it, don't they?
Oh,
If they need
I don't
to,
know if the
or-
town has
Because
access,
there's
but it's
utilities there.
So they drive in front of the gazebo?
yeah.
Easement.
That Boathouse Way has been there. I think it has, well, I'm not sure. It might have the same status as like Sarah Indian and Cottage, it's just smaller
Hmm,
and dirt.
But that cottage wasn't there.
right.
I mean, the gazebo wasn't
The
there.
gazebo, right.
Right.
What's the gazebo set on?
Just 3 inches of gravel.
And if you move it back towards the woods, you'd have to go, what, 20 feet?
Well, it's also sloped, so that's why we put it where there's already a level. We didn't think there would be any erosion. I'm guessing there would be some on a slope, but I don't know.
Right, but you'd also have the opportunity to have, that would be your buffer before it gets to the road.
Or if we had done the NOI process, there would have been conditions in place, erosion controls, to get it done there.
Keep it at grade and not build it up.
Right, or not have, not contribute to a sheet flow issue. like
Or
we
maybe
have
do some
now.
replanting or something,
Yeah.
which I know you probably
I
wanna
would
do anyway.
recommend it.
I'm sorry?
Right.
Some replanting, which you had said you might wanna do.
Yeah,
anyway.
and we, before we did any of this, we have a sub-association, just for
Do
the
you
people that
own
live
in
there.
front of that, so when you cross the
We
road?
own the whole thing. So we have a 10-acre property that starts in Acton on Fort Pond Road, right off of Newtown Road. And then it's a long rectangle, and it ends with, I think it's about 125 feet of frontage on the pond. We've been there just 2 years.
So you're gonna be having vehicles parked there as well, more vehicles versus just boats?
There's usually 1 or 2 vehicles, ours, a couple of friends come over. Sometimes we walk, depending on how much we're carrying.
Do you have parking? for
Which is
that, or
what
are you
happens
parking on the soil?
on
There
lots.
was, fortunately, before we got it, there was,
Like a pad or something?
yeah, they put a level area, because otherwise
Okay.
the whole thing just slopes down.
Right. Well, and that was what I was gonna ask, if you're creating, more soil compaction by.
No, yeah,
Okay,
we.
But if it's
all
already, if
that's-
it was
yeah,
already
that
there,
already
that's.
there.
So the house
that's
on-
So I, so I
the house
actually
on the
checked
hill-
there.
Existing.
That looks really good, there's no, I didn't see any erosion there, but that's been there for probably, I don't know, 25 years, 30 years. I'm sorry?
The house that's up the hill from there,
Sort of past you and up.
yep.
Oh, so you mean there were 2 houses on either side that are kind of back up the hill?
So if you go,
Like if you look up,
if you
they
go
have
past
clear
that and go
passages.
way up, like there's a tractor that's parked
Yeah.
further
so-
down,
Yeah.
that is not their frontage. They have frontage
No.
that's over.
Yeah, so this side, and the same thing when you go on this side, when you come down on Shagbark Drive, there's a driveway, and then you go Boathouse Way.
No, I'm
So
very familiar with
they-
the area. I'm asking if this house that's past this.
Yeah, that's theirs, that's the one with the tractor,
Mhm.
and they have some chairs here
But
and
this
some
is not
lights.
their waterfront area.
No, they have their own,
Okay.
yeah, they have their own, and,
I was just trying to get a sense
How
for
do
your,
they,
your lot
do they
line.
access that house from Boathouse? Or from,
yeah, everybody does, yeah, yeah. So there's, it's weird because it depends, some of the properties, the requirement is all the properties have frontage on Fort Pond Road, which is part in Acton, part in Littleton. I happen to be in the Acton side. And so my back 3.5 acres is what's in Littleton, so it gets confusing, but yeah, all those people, so we just went to the annual association meeting, you know, we just pay the money because whatever they need to have done, the plowing and cleaning up and, you know, whatever, but we don't live there and we don't use it the way they do because some of them have, you know, their primary residences on Sarah Indian Way too, so.
Right.
It's all, and we're on a, you know, public road that kind of acting plows and all that stuff.
What would the commission like to do?
Do you want to set up a sidewalk now, or?
Sure. Have you,
Yeah.
you haven't been out, have you?
I've never been out there.
Okay. Around all week except for Thursday, Thursday afternoon. What's your schedule like?
It gets dark early.
Yeah.
I should be there, right? So, well, no,
That'd be best if you can, yeah.
Okay, so Wednesday and Thursday I'm at conferences in Boston.
Friday's my last day at work. I can't make it. I can't pop out on
Sure you
Friday.
can.
Next week I'm free. I am wide open next
Your
week.
last day at work?
Well, I mean, if you want to do it next week, if it's convenient, I mean, there's no rush.
I don't
At this point
want
for me,
to
we don't
hold.
use it.
I don't
Yeah,
want to
we've
hold
gotta
it
get
up.
erosion control.
But I can't. I can't
Yeah.
pop out of work
Right.
this week
And we
in the
need to
middle of the
get-
day.
There's some erosion control that needs to
Yeah.
get put in. What's your schedule?
I could get there at like 8:30 in the morning.
Well, if you need to
It's tough for me
expedite
during
going
the
out,
week,
that's
but
okay.
I mean,
And then I'll
depending
take
on
it
when
out.
we.
What time do you want to do an early morning? We've done that before.
Here we
Before I
go.
go to work.
Yeah, early morning's fine.
It's fine early.
Sun, when the sun is up.
8:30 is the earliest I can do.
Is
It's up early
8:30
now.
work for you? Is that too late?
I'd rather do it earlier.
Yeah, I can do morning. That's easy for me.
You want to shoot for 8 o'clock?
What day?
It's fine.
Which day?
Tuesday or Friday, I guess.
Tuesday
Tomorrow.
meeting tomorrow.
Oh, meeting tomorrow.
Wednesday.
It'll be awful wet tomorrow.
That's perfect.
It's gonna be rainy.
Doesn't matter.
Actually, I probably could make it tomorrow. Friday's no way, but I
Yeah.
actually probably could make
Even
it
early.
tomorrow.
Just do it
It's
tomorrow.
just
If it's
tomorrow.
raining, doesn't matter.
I might be a little late though. I have to put
8 or 8:30?
boys on the bus.
8.
I can join you. I
Okay.
can't.
Yeah, you wanna say-
boys are on the bus at 8:06 and I'll drive right over.
Takes a while to.
I know it does,
Yeah.
and I'll get lost. I always
You're not
get
gonna,
lost.
You're not gonna spend any
So you will
speed
experience
records.
the parking challenge.
Yeah,
So,
we
so
see
my
lots.
recommendation would be when you go, just everybody go to the right, you know, whoever you
I have
can,
no idea how
park
to
near the
get there.
boats and just
I can send you a.
kind of line up.
Yeah, your map is good.
That was pretty, yeah.
So,
I always
If
get
you
lost.
GPS
You want to
it,
meet you and follow
we
you.
can do that. You wanna say 8:15, because then,
It'll just be slightly later.
yeah, is that all right?
Yeah.
Amy's 8:15, okay, tomorrow morning?
Yep.
Okey-dokey.
Where would I meet you?
Right at the entrance to Sarah, where Fort Pond and Sarah Indian Way.
Yeah, right on the street, and then you can just follow me in.
Okay.
Like, literally down on the regular Main Street.
Fort Pond and Sarah Indian Way?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like the way you go when we went to Kazokas. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
See you
Thank you.
tomorrow. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
Amy, can you send me directions on how to
Yeah.
get there?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
Just the
somebody-
one that.
I'll send what I just sent you.
Let me see if I have it on
always
my
mess
phone.
up going down this.
I still have it.
And you're gonna go back to your Chestnut Line extension. I assume you're,
Yes, sir. Sorry I was late.
Works out.
I was in Westford.
You're having a fun night.
Well, thank you for your time, and I think I'm keenly aware that you folks have a lot of history on this project, probably more so than I do. But we were,
Have my pictures back when you get a chance.
we were hired a few months back to do two primary things here. And I thought it'd be wise before I filed something to come in and sort of give you an update of where we're at and seek any feedback that you folks have for us, both by way of specifics, but also process. So I'll get to that in a minute. But the two primary, so this is Chestnut Lane off of, I know it is Littleton Road in Harvard, but this is Harvard Road going
Can I
up
ask
to
you, to whom are you representing?
Help and Profit. The Help and Profit
Paul Gass.
is my client, Paul, Mr. Gass. Yes.
Okay.
So Harvard Road is sort of off the page up here, and Chestnut Lane comes down, and then we have the common driveway that comes off the end of Chestnut Lane. And the crossing is right in this location here. And there's some issues with the head walls on that. So that was one of the things we were asked to take a look at, is to make some recommendations on how to fix that problem. So we've prepared some plans for that. And then also to take care of the replication area that was never installed. And if I'm saying anything in error, please let me know, because I know I'm a latecomer to this project. So we prepared some specifications for how we propose to repair the head walls and the surrounding the crossing. And then we've also identified the replication area here and have provided put together some specifications for grading and planting in accordance with the Massachusetts replication guidelines. So wanted to come today and just sort of show you where we're at. The order of conditions for this, I believe, has expired.
It's actually been extended.
Oh, it has been extended?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But the wetlands has perhaps been significantly impacted, so I'm going to ask that has to get reflagged specifically on this
Right.
side, because we've had numerous washouts.
Yeah, and we
as
did
well.
actually reflag that.
Okay,
So
good.
we did do that.
So those
about
flags
a
are
month-
current, we can
Yes.
walk those?
Yep, you
Okay.
can, absolutely. And of course, I recognize this isn't a filing yet before you, so I just, that was sort of my, one of my asks this evening is how you folks would like us to proceed from here, whether we
You
need a new filing or how that
would
works.
help if you showed the driveway that's right along here now.
Yeah,
Right,
we can.
yeah, it's
we can
on
do
the
that.
Because this
Sure.
plan was old.
Yep, there is a new driver there. We
And there's
had-
a little sort of new basin in there too that should show up.
In this area here?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
And then you have a
We sort of- we
I
didn't-
think Jeff has the as-bills,
okay,
Jeff Hannaford.
okay. Yeah,
And then down by where your hand is, coming down the main
Yep.
road, there's a detention, which
Mhm.
was never finished. They started it,
okay,
was never finished, so we'd need to look at what stage that's in, which is,
yeah.
it was never finished.
But
Yeah.
it got seeded, was,
Yeah, but it was never done, it was never
Sort of right in here.
built the way it was
it
designed.
went all the way up the hill.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
came down
There's a
and it
big
breached
basin,
through.
there's this big
That
basin
one,
here,
yep.
Yep.
and then the little things up here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So those, I think you would have to do quite a bit of discovery, because I don't think they were built to their completion
Okay,
or to their function. They
Okay.
definitely don't function.
okay,
The drainage as you go up the steep hill does work fairly well. I go up there a couple times a year to look. The drainage on the right side had some blowouts in the last couple of years, but
this side you mean?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
And up there someplace, there is a cistern
That's
for,
okay. Yeah,
for
water.
the fire department.
yeah,
That's more up the hill
up
probably.
further, yeah. So,
So my concerns are the head walls, the structure of that whole bridge looks scary.
yep,
Because you can tell it's kind of going
I
like
agree,
that.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
But yeah, I think I'd be intrigued to look at the wetlands now and
Mhm.
where the wetlands were before, because you have had some really big impacts over the last
Okay.
many years there.
Yeah.
To look at invasives, I don't know if anything's creeped in or not.
Somewhere there's a roadway that comes down just the other side of the culvert that comes straight down the hill.
Right, and that should be on your plan, because is there any thought, is that gonna get used again? It was part of an original filing that I don't think got permitted.
Okay.
So as you go over the bridge,
Okay,
and you
yeah.
start to go up the hill that's paved,
Right.
you're looking straight at it.
Okay.
So it was an original
Probably a
cut.
logging road, probably originally.
But it was, right, but it was part of an initial design.
There's a stub up there, isn't there? Like a little parking area stub?
Yeah, that's like right here.
Yeah.
It's a little further up, but in here somewhere, there's a park.
Some of it might be outside the buffer zone too.
Then
I
going
forget
off
where.
of that's that road. up
So
to-
getting to the
Plus-
bigger picture, what's the intent of this now? Are we looking at more development, so we need to look at greater flow coming down those hills or roads?
Not that I know of. So I was only hired, actually, initially, I was only hired to do this.
Okay.
And then sort of as I was, it evolved a little bit, and my client asked me to also include the wetland replication area.
Right, because nothing's gonna get signed off until
Right,
he's the last holding the bag, so
Right,
nothing's
right,
gonna go
yeah.
until.
right. So, but this is one of the reasons why I thought I'd come before you, so it sounds like there may
But
be
this
some other
area
things
will
I
be
need to
good to
expand.
stake out, so we can get
Yep.
a sense for.
That's actually staked.
Oh, it is,
There are
okay.
stakes there. And, the whole area is really rocky. And so we looked at if there was an alternative place for this. The only other place we could really identify was over in this area downstream of this detention basin, but I think you're gonna run into the same issue
And
there.
there's a lot of water down there.
Yeah, the wetland line comes around, and there's a pool down in there, but I mean, there's some upland buffer zone area where you could do something, but I think you're gonna have the same, I think
A
the
couple
land
things
form
that
is
you
the
should
same.
know about this site, that whenever they put wells in,
Mhm.
they can't keep them contained, there's so much pressure. So
Okay,
the
water
wells, so
pressure.
you've got a lot of water down there.
You mean
You'll
like
see-
true artesian, like the water comes
Yeah,
up over
like
the casing?
literally,
Yes,
you
you
can't
have a
keep them
pump.
Yeah.
capped.
Yeah,
So.
Really
Yeah.
rusty.
Yeah,
oh, iron, yeah,
yeah,
iron manganese, yeah,
so, but there's a lot of pressure.
yeah. Okay. So I need to, what I'm hearing is I need to expand my topo a little bit.
Mhm. Pull in some of the other,
Yep,
plans.
Which degree is probably starting to head down to the road for getting a certificate of compliance for this, because he's gonna need an as-built
mm-hmm.
anyway, so it's something he's gonna have to do.
So
Anyway.
I'm down the road, so we might as well, I mean, that's
It'd
kind
be
of
better to do it all at once with
process.
one
Should I just be
person.
doing this under the guise of, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how I should proceed on how we should be doing this work, whether we should be asking you for an amendment, or whether we should be filing a new filing, or how we
I
should
don't
do
think
that.
these are amendments, because that was so old.
Yeah,
Well, and this
This-
project's
this
been on
original-
warranty
It's
for a
an active
while.
order of conditions.
I think we all,
Not on, I don't think on
Yeah,
those.
it's been extended. It's 204-650, and it was extended through 2020, and 204-649, which is the subdivision road, was extended through, I think, June 2019.
I don't know, because the original, I don't know how you would have gotten to that many years. to have it
There were
extended
actually
because-
extensions in there.
that came before you to ask, or how did
650, they also had the Permanent Extension Act, I believe, involved in this,
Oh, right.
which gave them a big kick.
So they would have gotten 4 years on that, yeah,
I can pull the file out if you really wanna,
yeah.
if you really wanna know.
4 years, well, depending on when it was.
Because I think as soon as I started working here, this is one of the projects I started chasing to get the extensions
Mhm.
locked in.
So, I'm happy to do a new filing, if you think that's the easiest to do this stuff.
Well, it sounds like you've got, if the extensions have been filed, as long as it's not drastically
But it
different.
depends on what he's wanting to do. If we're
Well,
gonna,
it
if
doesn't
we're,
matter.
if
It doesn't
he's
sound
not, if he
drastically
wants to do an
Mm-hmm.
different.
amendment, he's not gonna be able to move this, or,
Right.
so you can do an amendment, but your hands are gonna be tied to exactly
Right.
how much we're gonna allow you to do.
Right,
So,
okay.
So do it as an amended order of conditions,
I think you should go back to your
or a new filing.
applicant and see which you would like for you to do. You don't have to make this decision right now.
Yeah,
This is still
it's gonna get
informal.
messy though, if you're doing as-built stuff, which is gonna apply to an old
Right.
DEP file number.
Right.
With new stuff, it's the same
Yeah.
bridge, same crossing.
Right.
But
That's
that
a
might need
repair.
work, though.
It definitely needs work.
Right.
And this wetland
Yeah.
mitigation area was specifically for that
Right.
DEP file number.
I think,
For the crossing?
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah, it's not cut and dry, because, you know, it's not like the work was never done and it's expired and we're asking, okay. Well,
Just think about it and let Amy know which way.
okay. Okay. I mean, would it solve, I don't know, we can talk about it. I'm still not sure which way to go, to be quite honest with you. Because I'm happy to do an amendment, see if we can get it done, but if we're just gonna end up needing a new order of conditions, I'd just as soon do it now and not waste the 2 or 3 weeks to go through.
Yeah,
the-
but
I mean, in amended order conditions, you're still gonna need to notify all the abutters.
Should I do both?
There will still be.
If I do it and amended?
I think you need to check. into
Or
that,
you
because
can
you're
issue an
under the
enforcement order
old
because they
regs.
never built
Yeah.
the mitigation site.
No, because I'm
Yeah.
gonna be able to.
No,
get-
that gets messy, but.
He's already had enforcement orders on him anyways.
Well, that's, yeah, I mean, I guess for me, the important piece is the history and what was supposed to be done just consistently doesn't get done. And so how do we get it, you know, and like, oh,
Get
okay,
it
there's,
done.
there's another
Well,
engineer, there's a
You're
new
just
face
another
in here.
suit.
No, seriously, like, there's a
Believe
new
me.
face in here.
I know.
Like, is this a strategy?
That's why I prefaced my comments with the way I did when I started. I know
I
there's a lot of
suggest
history.
you get a
Yeah.
large amount in escrow.
Thank you for
What'd you
that,
say?
sir.
Get
Get
a
a large
retainer.
amount in escrow before you.
I would get some money up front, yeah.
Well, we did.
It's a very good idea.
We did, yeah.
But are you doing the construction work or just the
No, sir,
engineer?
just the engineering work, yeah.
So then we gotta deal with,
We still have to get it
Colby
done.
Field.
Okay.
and we're gonna be dealing
Colby
with
Field,
another
yet another generation.
contractor or
Who,
two or three.
I think is out there rubbing his machines. It's like, no, Colby, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Maybe like 20?
Well, I mean,
Okay.
he's moving forward,
Yeah.
right?
No, I think that's a,
He's moving forward, that's a good thing.
it is. There's not a lot of wiggle room in my mind, though, as far as like do what you're supposed, like what is supposed to be done just needs to start getting done. You know, so this seems like a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but this is good. This is
But
the
from a
feedback I needed.
but from a
so-
flexibility
right.
standpoint, I'm not apt to be super flexible. I think
Yeah.
we've done a lot of giving with this project.
Yeah, no,
And
I'm
a
not
lot
asking
of
you
us
to.
know it.
Just-
Yep.
Well.
And
That-
yeah, I mean, obviously you know.
I mean, we would
At
like
least a
to
little
see
bit,
it get
but-
done.
Yes, we
Sure.
would.
Yeah, and I'm not asking
Yeah.
for flexibility. I just really wanted. I know it's not really from my standpoint. It's not really cut and dry.
Have
So I
the
just want to
lots-
make sure I don't do something that's inappropriate. you
Have
know,
the
that-
lots been sold that are up on top of the hill, do you know?
I think some of them. I think there's one that hasn't, is my understanding. But
Yeah, I
don't
think
really
there's a building permit in for one of them,
Because
which
there
is driving me
was,
crazy because it's entirely out of the buffer zone.
know. Oh yeah,
And it was a little bit off one side of the property.
yeah.
That's gonna be a monster.
because the up end of the road and stuff with the drainage coming down, it's all gonna impact this business.
The one they're gonna be, they had the building is actually up and
Yeah,
over a
up
tiny
and
bit.
over. Yeah.
It's
But
not-
there's
it's not
no
gonna-
paved
yeah.
driveway yet, though, right?
No.
Oh, it's paved.
Pavement. No, meaning for the
The driveway's not
the
paved.
last driveway. So that'll impact.
A lot of logging trucks up and
For
down
any
there,
of
though.
you who have never been up there, you can actually see downtown Littleton from there.
Yep.
That's how high
Hmm.
the hill is.
Wasn't meant to be that way, but when they clear cut it. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So hopefully
Well,
this was helpful.
It was.
We will
Thank
wait
you.
to hear from you.
And I appreciate your time and those late. So thank you.
But it would be helpful if you showed the other new existing driveway,
Yeah, the one.
the house.
This one
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do an overlay with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we can get that. Maybe I just need to come up, Amy, and pay you a visit and take a look in the files.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
Appreciate
coming
it.
in. Back to administrative discussions.
Cooper Farm certificate, you
They
said
didn't,
they
they didn't
hadn't
come in for
filed.
that
Yeah.
bylaw regulatory review.
Which I assume no one feels like doing.
We have to
And
go
I
back
did,
up.
this is sort of a new format, because instead of listing out all the other updates, I just kept that list for myself,
Okay.
unless you prefer to see them all spelled out.
The bathhouse?
She never showed up, so fine.
Okay.
Who, a person wanted to?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Holly O'Donoghue, I think, has been in front of us before
Oh,
to
okay.
express her concerns about the boathouse.
Oh, okay. I recall.
And then other updates that would be shared back, if you want to share that with us.
Yes, so 6 Cottage Way, the, whatever this is called, the hearing, I guess, for the superseding order is actually on Wednesday, scheduled from 9:30 to 4:30. And I think, well,
All day.
we'll see how that goes. I am not going. I think DEP is losing their patience. And for the appeal under the bylaw for that one, the McDonald's have to file a motion for judgment due November 26th. Then Conscom, or the attorney, applicant has 30 days to file an opposition, so after Christmas. And then the judge will hear oral arguments, so that we're into 2019 for the bylaw piece of it still.
Is that something you may have to go and testify on, or just the town council?
That one might be more likely because it includes the 50-foot no disturb area.
Okay.
And I don't know if McDonald's will keep pursuing this or not.
They don't seem to want us to give up.
They're not giving up anything.
All right, anything else?
Yes, Harley, what is that, 97 mil? Part of what they're doing is in the floodplain.
Yep.
So they need to get a waiver or variance from the zoning board of appeals. So they're in a spiral death of who goes first. So I was gonna send the zoning board of appeals a letter saying that in terms of floodplains, I am presuming that if you agree that you would be relying on whatever Green Affiliates is doing for planning board. And that once they finally get in front of the Conscom, they can have something formal, but at least they know that everything's being taken care of.
Yeah, that's
Because,
good.
and I also said, riverfront area buffer zone, that still hasn't been decided yet, but just in terms of the floodplain, maybe relying on the engineer review.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Did you guys get your MACC handbook
Oh.
subscriptions? You should have got an email,
Yeah, I got
like a
it.
month or two
Yeah,
ago,
yeah,
a
yeah,
while ago,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And you should be getting emails about the Forge Pond water level monitoring that you can go on and see. I gave them all your emails, I haven't seen that yet, so. The webpage needs updating, but let's not talk about that.
Actually, can we go back to Forge Pond for
Yep.
a minute? I just happened to be having a casual conversation, and it sounds like people might be having challenges getting their docks out for the winter, and I don't know if some outreach needs to happen as far as
Because the water's
like,
going down, you mean, or?
No, because the water's way
It's still
too
so high, okay, I was gonna say.
It's really high, and so it's like, oh, we might need to, get an excavator out to. I'm just saying, people are not aware
Get a boat.
of.
They can get a boat. Get a
They
boat.
they can't reach, I
winch.
guess. They
Winch.
put boulders like. I just.
It's not our business. Yeah.
Well, it,
But if people are having a
but
hard
someone
time
along that line, if,
pulling their
Peter Scott
boats
has
out.
just disappeared off the radar.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want me to, he has an enforcement order on him.
I think he needs to be spoken to again.
I'll follow up. I think he had surgery a while ago about that.
Just put them in for
Sure,
the next
so.
meeting.
I'll talk to him about that. All right.
Just put them on the agenda.
God bless him, Carl Berger at 268 Harwood, who did like a little patio, little shed, little porch, has done it. It's not quite ready for civic compliance because he's gonna need seed, so he's gonna come back in the summer. But he's worried that his order conditions will expire in the meantime. And I said, no, you don't need to do an extension, you're just waiting for a certificate. But he wanted to make sure that you all agreed that he does not need to come in and pay for an extension when he just needs the certificate of compliance in a few months.
Okay.
So, and I told him, frankly, we get certificate of compliances that are 20 years old, so, okay. Durkee has sort of, they haven't paid yet, but they're filing a bunch of certificates of compliance. So we're gonna start needing to do site walks out there and decide which ones can go ahead, which ones aren't ready yet. I think he filed 8 or 10, I just got them tonight, so.
If you can just give us a list, but just put the map and just tell us which numbers you want us to look at.
Yeah. And that's my story.
Do you have the calendar set beyond those 2 meetings? That in an email we could maybe look at? December,
I have
January?
said it, I haven't like put it in stone yet. So yeah, why don't I send it around?
Okay.
Like through January, February.
That'd be
Yeah.
great, yep.
Yeah. It really gets messed up by the Monday holidays. That's probably not much last year.
Mm.
Yep.
So Durkee must be selling houses, huh?
Yes, although I'm not sure about the current phases, like the K parcel. I know that, I was talking to
A lot of people
Matt or
living
Michael, I
in
can't
them over
remember.
there.
What's that?
A lot of people living in them over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, things have slowed down.
Yeah, that market's slowed substantially, the
Yeah.
6 to 8,
Cooper's for a
Which
little bit.
market? That higher?
the 6 to 800.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like the 60.
No, the 9 too? Oh, okay.
no.
Well, that too.
In Durkee or? Yeah.
Like 8 and change. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
that's
that
right.
market's definitely slowing down.
Anybody want a list of the 21 best pollinators? Or
Sure.
Homeowner's Guide to Wetland Buffers?
Those are perfect to give to people.
Yeah, those are great.
Those are like
Yeah,
This
keep
is
them
from
together.
the state of
Pollinator
Washington. And
colors.
I got a pollinator list from something else, but I'm gonna hang on to one. Actually, I can scan it and send it around.
Yeah, just hang on to them.
The benefit of that,
Yeah, just keep those and then some, we can give them somebody.
unless somebody wants paper from it.
Okay. No, I don't.
I make a motion to adjourn at 9:27.
Can I have a
Second.
second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.